Thanks for watching The Boyfriend Chronicles. This series is going to be filled with horror stories from ex-boyfriends, dates, so hopefully by telling my stories, it'll help you ladies and fellas to not make the same mistakes that I did. So after a year and a half, a few more black eyes, and a fractured nose later, I decided to leave, which I did, and it wasn't easy, especially with him not wanting to accept the fact that it was done. The day before I left, he took the lug nuts off my tires, and I was actually driving 3 hours south to stay with my mom. So he knew it. He knew where I was going because I don't have a whole lot of family. So if I wasn't there, then there's only one place I could be going. So he knew I was going. That's where he knew I was going. The only reason I knew that my lug nuts were gone was because my cousin came over to see me off, and you know how guys are. They're like, make sure your oil's checked, make sure this and that. And we're like, where the hell are your lug nuts? And I was like, oh my God, he's trying to take me out. I ended up moving again, like 3 hours south, and I went to stay with my mom. So I moved in with my mom and started seeing this guy, and this particular guy was never my boyfriend. Like, we were never like claiming each other or anything like that, but it was just wrong from the jump. This guy was like a thug, like out of this world, like something fierce. Like, he had the whole thing going on, like baggy pants, dreads, smoking weed. He was definitely like a guy that I had no business messing with. Talked for quite a while, but it was like anytime he called me, it was like late, or it was like he wanted to have somebody to drink with. But every time like we would drink, like I was always buying the bottles. Like, he would call me to like come over and chill, and I'll be like, well, I'll just stop and pick some up since I'm already out. And then when I get there, it'll be like 4 other people there, and I'm just like, okay, everybody just have a drink on me. He did that a lot. Like a lot. So caught up in the madness that I didn't even realize what was going on. One day, he actually texted me first in the middle of the day and asked me if I wanted to go out to eat. And I was like, yeah, that's dope. Yeah, let's go. So then when I get there, it's like not me and him. It's me, him, and one of his homies. So I'm like, we go to the restaurant, we sit down, the 3 of us, we eat, we have a good time or whatever. So then when we're leaving, he asks if I can drop him off somewhere in some neighborhood unknown. I'm just like, okay. So we leave the restaurant, and he's in the passenger seat, his friend's in the back, and they just start sparking up weed in my car. So I'm looking like, really? And then he asked me, he was like, oh, was it okay if we smoke in here? I was just like thinking in my head, like, y'all already doing it. But me being not just standing up for myself or just saying what I feel, I was like, sure, it's fine. We're driving around, and they were blasting my radio, and I dropped them off, and I asked, like, are you coming back out, and he's like, no, just leave. And I was like, leave? He just wanted me to leave. So I was just like, okay, so I left. A cop sees me coming out of the neighborhood, so he pulls me over. My car smells like weed now, so the cop does all these tests on me. He cuffs me, has me sitting on the side of the road. He searches my entire car. He didn't find anything, so he finally just let me go. It was so crazy. I was so mad. He calls me later on that night and asked me if I could come and pick him up. And I told him what happened. I was like, look, the cops put me over. They searched me. They cuffed me. It was like, all he can say was, oh, my bad. Are you going to come get me? And guess what I did? After that situation, I was so angry. Like, I was so angry. And in the meantime, I still had my ex-boyfriend calling me. So after that, I think I was just um, reacting off of emotions, and I answered the phone and told him where I was at. Talked to him on the phone for a few hours, and he wasn't yelling. He didn't sound mad. So he caught the bus and came down to see me, and we stayed in a hotel. He started to become like a serious like chain smoker. And when I mean chain smoker, I mean cigarettes, weed, anything that can be smoked. This particular day, I had just come from cashing my check. I worked as a wardrobe stylist for a clothing company, so it was payday. So I went and cashed my check and met him at the hotel. When I went up to the room, there were these two guys in there with him, and I had no idea who they were because he wasn't from where I had moved to. So I'm like, who do you know here? And he had told me that he was just trying to buy some weed from them. I was just thinking, like, the entire time, like, why would you let someone that you don't know into your room? Like, I didn't get that. At the same time, like, at that time, I didn't want to go against what he was doing or what he wanted to do. I didn't want to interrupt him, his flow, whatever he was doing. So I went in and I stayed. I put my bags down. I went to the bathroom. I came out. When I came out of the bathroom, there was a gun pointed right at my face. The guy, they were robbing us. They jumped out my purse. They took my phone. They took my money that I just got paid. They took his jewelry. As soon as they snatched his chain off his neck, he ran into the bathroom and closed the door and locked it. So I was just standing there. This guy has a gun pointed at my face. He takes everything, and they both just dip out. Having a gun pointed dead at your forehead, like a pinky away, that far away from your head, you know, you think about a lot of things. God definitely, he definitely kept me. Time I like talk about like stuff like this, it like brings, like, I feel like the pressure and my energy just goes like way down. When he came out of the bathroom, he was all swinging and mad and cussing and just acting, doing the most, basically. Everything was said and done. Long story short, he got on the bus and he went back home. But now that he knew where I lived, it opened up a can of worms. Felt really, really stupid. Just stupid. For the simple fact that I prayed every night to get out of the relationship, and then God finally answers my prayers and gives me a way out, and I invite him back into my life after everything was done. And it just made my life a lot worse the second time around. And then I could have died just because of this person. And I just felt really stupid, but at the same time, I feel blessed for being able to walk out of this situation with my life. If I could go back, I definitely would have been a better choice of character. I would definitely not just be so upset that I, react off my emotions and answer calls that I'm not supposed to answer, and just I wouldn't have been so quick to react off my emotions. And I definitely wouldn't have answered the phone. I definitely wouldn't have talked to that person in the first place, and I wouldn't have answered the phone and invited that person back into my life. You guys, fellas and ladies, could take away from this story is that you need to know what is right and what is wrong. Be a better choice of character. Like, if somebody's doing something that you wouldn't do, then you don't need to be with that person. Know your worth. Nobody can tell you what you deserve. You know what you deserve. If it was up to everybody else, everybody wouldn't deserve anything. I was told that I was never going to find anybody better than him, and I didn't deserve this and didn't deserve that. And after a while, I started to believe it. So I think that's why when I finally moved away, I started messing with somebody who was not good for me, because in the back of my mind, I was thinking, like, this is the best I can do. And you have to think about what you're doing. If you're upset about something, calm down first before you make any, like, reactions or decisions. When you're emotional, you don't think in your right state of mind. And just think about the person that you're wanting to pursue. If that person is not living a good life, you cannot make someone else do something they don't want to do. If you're living your life the way you want to, and then somebody else is living all wrong, and you try to be with that person and you're trying to get them to do what you're doing, to something positive, it's not worth the time. It's not. You can't change anybody. You cannot change anybody. That is the lesson, is you cannot change anybody.